rest in peace, brother. Rest in
Ah,
peace. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll turn it over to Lizzie and Jam.
So just to get started again, as Neo mentioned, we lost Chadwick on Friday. At least that's when most of us got the word. It was Friday evening. He died in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 43, surrounded by family and loved ones. And for me, Friday was the end of a very long week. Like I said, first day of classes. So I had been napping for a few hours. So, totally shut off from the world. And I think for some reason I woke up and it had been announced like maybe 2 minutes before that. And so I didn't really know what to say other than to scream. That was my first response, first reaction. No effing way. And I then started to think about when they mentioned what he died of. He died of colon cancer, a 4-year battle with colon cancer that most people in the public eye did not know about. And then I started to reflect on, how people were questioning his appearance over the last year and a half, and it just all came together and clicked. And then I immediately got sad, started tearing up as if he were a member of my own family. And I think that comes from not because I felt this connection with celebrities, if you will, but because what he meant and how he inspired so many people in the Black community. From the moment he took his big role in 2013 as Jackie Robinson in 42 until he gave us T'Challa in Black Panther in 2018. I went to see Black Panther in DC by myself and was taken aback by the number of kids that were in the theater, dressed up in their costumes, excited, screaming every time he took the stage, every time he took the screen, and everyone was like this. Everyone was like this. For that year, that was probably the number one costume for young boys, both Black and non-Black, across the country for Halloween.
Yep.
And so, just first and foremost, what did the announcement mean to you guys when you first heard it on Friday? And overall, like, what did his career, how did he inspire you?
I'll start off. So I was shocked. I was completely shocked. I was just blown away. I mean, he's you know, the one thing, and I said this to my wife, I said, there's a lot of actors out there that have played these amazing roles, like a Black Panther. But that's an iconic role at this point. But the thing about Chadwick was he seemed to be a really good dude, you know? Like, you see interviews. I didn't know him, obviously, but if you watch his interviews, if you watch, you know, him personally, if you just watch him, he just seemed like a good person. And you can't say that about a lot of actors. A lot of actors have, they play these great personas, but they turn out to not be good people. But he seemed like a really good guy, and it kind of hurt. And I don't know, my niece. I found out my niece when she found out, and she's 6 years old. I think she's 6, yes. And when she found out, she was just bawling uncontrollably. And it's tough. I can't imagine what it's like for kids who, because you kind of Black Panther was like I said, an iconic character for kids, Black kids and stuff. So I'll stop talking. Go ahead. Whoever wants to talk. I feel like I could keep going, so I want to go ahead and let others talk.
But you
I'll go because probably I was like, yeah, Jam should probably end. You know, I, I only really knew him from Black Panther, which was an incredible film, and it was very important to just the community in general to have the representation of a Black superhero. On the big screen. Not that there aren't Black superheroes, but on the big screen. And the first thing I thought when I heard about it was, man, another blow to the community, another blow to the heart of the community. We don't need that. They don't need that right now. And then I thought about, I read his age, and time stood still. I'm 42. He's 43. He was born in 77. I'll be 43 by the end of the year. And I just thought, like, if this was my last year, oh my, like it was just heartbreaking.
It was.
It was heartbreaking. And to see, and then I looked like Lizzie did, I looked over the last year, like all the things coming out in the news and how he was still working during being sick. He was still visiting children's hospitals, visiting other people with cancer, doing interviews, not speaking on his suffering. Meanwhile, people are just, assuming things, saying nasty things, and it just kind of brought back home. Like we need to stop doing that. We need to stop making fun of people's suffering, or we're really going to a very ugly place, and this was kind of like a reminder of that. They're assuming like, oh, he's on drugs or what's wrong with him. The man was dying, and
for his life, fighting for his life,
and people are just, making comments.
Before we move on to Jam, I just want to, because you mentioned people were commenting on his weight loss. He had recently lost a lot of weight. I just want to play the video that they were talking about.
One of the videos.
It's April 15th.
One of them.
It's Jackie Robinson Day. That's right. It's still Jackie Robinson Day. I can't think of a better time to remember my hero, and he's the hero of many of you out there, than this time that we're in, this pandemic. I can't think of a better way to commemorate everything that he was about than to announce the partnership between Tolco and Figs. If you know, Figs is one of the companies that's the designer and manufacturer of modern medical apparel.
I'm not going to play the whole thing. So, yeah, and there were, like you said, go ahead. See?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, there are other videos, as Lizzie suggested, where, because when he was in Black Panther, he was cut. He looked cut. So he started losing weight over time, and there were a lot of bad comments. But when people saw this, there was a lot. Jam?
But even think
of
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one last thing. There's a meme going around Facebook right now where somebody had to tell their 8-year-old child, that he had passed, and the child's response was it the cops? Was it coronavirus? Like, it just hit home, like what our kids are dealing with right now,
And that's the unfortunate side of the time, is because, they see him as children. They see him as a superhero. And so for them to think that not even his superhero powers could do anything against the police in this country, could do anything against the coronavirus in this country, speaks volumes. But even to touch, before we get to Jam, even to touch on the superhero aspect, because we know, in addition to, playing Black Panther, he was in tons of films. He was in 42, like I said. He was in 21 Bridges. He was in Get On Up, where he played James Brown. He portrayed
performance on both 42 and James Brown. He was excellent.
He played in Marshall, where he represented, Thurgood Marshall. He was most recently in the Spike Lee film, Defy Bloods. He was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So he had a lot of roles that he played over the course of that 4 years when he was suffering, okay? And even then, we didn't know. But as it relates to the superhero, I got into an argument with someone, both in 2018, when Black Panther came out, and recently, since his death on Friday, where people were talking about how they didn't understand why Black people made Black Panther such a big deal. And I just kind of, paused and got really angry, because it's like, we can't have anything. We can't celebrate anything. We can't have anything. I mean, when Christopher Reeves died as Superman, I was crushed. We all grew up on Superman. Love Superman. Right. Love a lot of I love Batman. I love Wonder Woman. A lot of superheroes. But they're all white. They don't reflect us. And Black kids deserve the right to have a fantasy and a superhero as well. And even if it's not a legitimate or a realistic superhero. I mean, if you think about Superman, people were talking about Wakanda. Wakanda's not real. Well, Krypton isn't real either. Like, it's fantasy. It's fantasy. And so the fact that, people look at what he played and what he meant to young Black people, young Black youth, little boys who are like, I want to be strong, like a positive figure, like Black Panther is really telling. And the fact that, Z brought up this meme about, the little kid who, was sad and immediately wondering how he died in an American world was just so very telling about what our kids are experiencing now in the United States. Jam?
A lot of stuff. Let me answer your first question. When Chadwick, when I found out he passed, like my wife and I were having a conversation, and we both stopped, and there was just nothing to say for I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes. And you have to understand, Mania pointed it out. If you look behind me, like I literally have the posters from the movie, a blanket, Shuri's first comic, one of the rows of Black Panther graphic novels. I have the picture. You probably can't see it.
I assume you hated Black Panther then.
It's so terrible. I have the pictures of all the actors, the women shot from the Essence and the men shot from the Essence magazines hanging up in my room. Like when I was a kid and I used to get money from being a paper boy, I collect comic books. Like my favorite comic book guy was Iron Man because he had such potential, but he was lame. And like there were very few Black comics even written. And the ones that were some dicey nonsensory. And I say that because if you're familiar with like Spawn, there's a whole image of Black man and bestiality that comes out with Spawn and how they treated his character versus how you treat all the other white characters that you saw in comic books. And so when Black Panther came out, my other cousin started calling me Wakanda because I had this outfit that looks like, I don't know if you can see it, but like I have a full outfit that is like
nice.
The importance. My kids like got some of the toys. My son was like, Shuri is the best. Like the meaning to me, his death in the life that we saw him live was exemplary of what you'd want to see a person live. Mm-hmm. And so because we didn't get any of the nastiness, all we got to see was the shining light, and we got to see a prince or a king. And and this is before I keep talking, Black Panther, to speak to your friend specifically, Liz, was the highest so far, has been the highest grossing solo superhero film released to date. Not any Panther, not Pale Panther, not was Gray Panther, Black Panther, right? And so it was the third highest grossing film in the MCU, behind 2 Avengers movies. Like,
yeah, he was in one of them that was in.
Like that was straight beast. And like much respect. So yeah, let me stop talking for a second. Get myself emotionally in tune with the world. But Chadwick, like, woo, man, that's a loss.
Well, just a quick, you brought up Avengers. So as we move forward, in our mourning, what do you think is going to happen to not only his character as it relates to Avengers, because he was in Black Panther, he was in the Avengers series, and I believe he was also in Captain America, correct? Mm-hmm. So he made appearances in all of these movies. How do you think Marvel moves forward with this?
I'll let Jam start.
Okay. So I got into it. I was upset, and I now know why. I hadn't done my research because I'm not as plugged into the social media world. But at the time, about a year ago, I don't know if you guys probably don't remember, there was some hype about him doing Black Panther 2. And I went off on a friend, and I was like, son of a, we'll see if I ever see another Black Panther movie again. Because I thought his character was so effervescent and the movie was so strong. And the choice they have, so my first thought is it's sad that they have to move on, but that is part of all storylines of comic books. That is the introduction of death into the life cycle is something that they help deal with. But their options are, and this also speaks to Captain America's replacement. My boy, whose name totally escapes me right now. Yes. No, sorry. He was. I'll be back. He'll come around. So, but he made a statement that the guy who played the Falcon, he had made a statement to
Oh,
say,
what is his name? Gosh.
Oh,
I know
oh,
his
the
name
brother.
was. I forget it.
yeah, the brother who played.
Falcon. Go ahead. We'll get it for you. Go ahead.
So what he had made a statement, he wanted to see more black characters in the MCU. One of Iron Man's replacements is a black person, and so Shuri, being the best inventor in the whole group, is sort of lined up in a perfect world to go to that role. It's very unlikely they'll put her in that role because she'd be taking over for a popular white male character. They will probably, what they were talking about with Disney and what that argument was about with Chadwick had to do with her becoming his replacement for a while. And so,
Who is this?
my Shuri, his sister, his sister.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And so thank you, Anthony Mackie. Thank you so much. But so the question is whether they slot her toward the replacement for the king, or they take her, expand their world, and put her in a place where she belongs, which is super intelligent inventor, the new Iron Man. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Now, before we'll get to Z and myself in a second. I do want to get to some of these comments online while we're talking, and we'll answer that question again. But so Steve Thompson was saying my wife was stunned and sad when she heard Chadwick pass because she too was 39 when diagnosed with colon cancer and couldn't imagine how he had the strength and fortitude to do it the way he did.
Wow.
Like Ade says, Black Panther was a superhero for us. Talk to them, Jam. My Nia, well, you already saw that with all the Black Panther behind Jam. We wanted to hear from Jam. Salai says, such a gut punch. Got so teary breaking the news to my boys. He was a hero to us. Ade says he was fighting for his life and giving his all to us through all of his roles. Because a lot of his roles weren't just his roles were biopics of strong black people.
Yeah.
James Brown, Jackie Robinson.
And he particularly said that he made it a point to take roles that did not belittle the black man, that did not promote stereotypes, that did not follow these prejudice tropes. He was very careful in the roles that he decided to take.
Steve
And I think
Thompson says as well.
Yeah, I think that's very telling.
He was a passionate actor, selective in his roles, great actor. Jacqueline Robinson says his sister would become the new Black Panther because that movie was also about female empowerment. Just saying.
Good point, sister.
Absolutely.
So, Z, you wanted to answer the question. Go ahead.
I'm gonna. Jacqueline Robinson might curse me out. Sorry. But what I was saying, I was like, if they could bring Superman back in Justice League when he was dead, why can't they bring back Michael B. Jordan and fulfill his destiny as the next Black Panther?
I mean, technically they could. I mean, I'm sure they can.
Michael B. Jordan.
It's easy with Marvel. Shoot, you can do just about anything. You go back in time and the Infinity Stones and who knows.
I'm saying, how many times has Superman been brought back to life?
It wouldn't be hard to do.
Right.
That's right.
Because it's all fantasy. It's all fantasy. So, you could do anything. The options are endless. And that's one of the good things about fantasy.
Well, my answer to your question is the one thing I don't want to happen is I don't want the character to go away.
Right.
Yes.
Because that's my concern is that I was looking on Twitter and a lot of people on Twitter were saying, hey, how can you even think about Black Panther 2 if Chadwick's not here? And they were beating people down for saying, I can't, I'm looking forward to Black Panther 2. I get it. The timing might have been a little off. But the point being, the one thing I don't want is just because he passed away for us to lose a powerful character like that. Right. We may not have another person that can play him as Chadwick was able to do, but Black Panther is passed down, the character can be passed down to someone else in the lineage.
So are you saying in the future, if they continue the character, it could be totally separate from T'Challa?
Yes. Because in the movie you can, what happens is when one passes away, it's passed down to someone in the lineage.
Right.
So it can be someone else. Like, for example, it could be, as Z said, Michael B. Jordan if he were actually alive.
That's why they fight. That's why they fight. All they have to do is bring him from a universe where he was able to stay there, and he grew up happy.
That's right. Don't think
That's a good idea.
All of that stuff.
I think ideally his sister is the best way to go, though.
Nah.
So I still think his sister would be a better Iron Man, because Iron Man is one of the smarter. I'm just saying.
Listen, can we not forget the sisters, though? Can we not forget the sisters? I like having something to look at. The sister role is very nice. But can I look at some time?
Okay, so you're nominating Michael B. Jordan. I'm saying the fine brother from Bird Box, Trevante Rhodes. Bring him on as the next Black Panther. Give him a new name. He's new to Wakanda. Bring it.
Okay.
Bring it.
You know they're building up Denzel
lost son.
They're building up Denzel Washington's son.
And he's short. No, we want a big.
I don't know why y'all can't look at the wall. Something to look at.
I said they were building up Denzel to play the role. I'm like, isn't he a little old? I'm just saying.
But I did want to say about two of both Chadwick's last two roles, or some of the last two roles, The Five Bloods, which is about the Vietnam War, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is one of a group of plays by August Wilson that we've seen a little bit of lately. It's a group of plays that, and this Netflix is looking to release Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but that group of plays includes Fences that we did see Denzel Washington in, and also there was another one that came out recently that was also included in that cycle. But that's an excellent cycle to plug into and to pay attention to. Jitney. It was at not the arena stage. Yes, the arena stage. But those are all excellent plays to get familiar with if you want to see the type of work that he was impressed with and that he was involved with.
We need to move on to the next topic, but I just want to go over these last few comments. So Salai says Suri's a better Iron Man, and Baku can be the next Black Panther. Mania says his perseverance and resilience is an example for us all to continue to bless us with his gifts and give back to many communities while fighting cancer in private is mind-blowing. Live your life, y'all. Jacqueline says, hadn't thought of Michael B. Jordan. That would be awesome. Dario Winter said he knew true professionalism, true professionalism and love of craft.
Absolutely.
And Rupka says, we need not only a Black character superhero, but one that is one in real life as well. Like Neo said, just a good actor won't do. So, all right. So to close this one out, I'll just play their. We'll play this this clip.
Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She say, "Chad, don't you run so fast. You might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass." Grandma's hands.
All right, now. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace.
And Bill Withers, who wrote that.
All right, and he recently died last year, right? Did he die this year or last year?
Earlier this year.
Earlier this year.
2 months.
It's been a horrible year, man. Horrible
It has been rough.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Actually.